Okay, before we begin and get to the Frankenstein stuff, this will be a double whammy, kind of plugging PTA's upcoming, whatever you want to call it, radical comedy, loose adaptation of Pynchon Leonardo film. Uh, yeah, and apologies to PTA. Being totally honest, I meant to do this months ago. They released a few teasers, and it was a little bit all over the place, but it shows promise. And I've been struggling, to put it mildly, with finances, but I should be able to actually pay for a movie for a while. I mean, I am stuck covering mainly the popular stuff because that makes a little bit of coin, not that much coin for the channel. Anyway, so please become a channel member. We'll get into the deeper mysteries of Scientology, PTA, The Master, and many other topics. Yeah, The Master is insanely accurate about many aspects of Scientology. I've not seen the whole thing in a while, but going back to key scenes, I'm like, this is shockingly very close to the documentary. It is disturbing how much research and how accurate he is. And he also worked with Tom Cruise. Very interesting fellow, Mr. Paul Thomas Anderson is. Okay, now let's get to the other auteurs. I will concentrate here on Maggie, who now they've released a recent teaser for her film. I did get a chance to see the Guillermo teaser. I would have to say the Guillermo film does look more promising because it's just like way more epic, and he obviously has an insanely bigger budget. And that said, though, they are doing very different aspects of the Frankenstein myth. It seems like the Guillermo film is about the scientists going crazy. So, what is Maggie up to? It is very hard to say. I don't think we know what the story really is. Just from the teaser, it appears to be this woman dies, is transformed into the bride, and Bale is either Frankenstein or the doctor or both merged together, I guess. Who cares? The question is it exciting, interesting, and intriguing enough to check out? I think so. And I'm going to be mainly positive. I do like Maggie Gyllenhaal, respect her enormously. She's done a lot of great work in independent cinema, done good stuff in mainstream cinema, but her main, wheelhouse has been the more indie stuff. It's been a mixed bag. If you look at indie film overall, it's going to have a few clunkers, but for the most part, her films have been really excellent. She's of course more well known for The Dark Knight, which also had Bale. So this is a reunion of sorts for the both of them. So what is the good and the bad? Well, the good is the style. It was a very stylish trailer, and if that is representative of the film, it will be oozing style. It looked great. Like the cinematography was incredibly sharp. Like the images were so crisp. So it was just very beautiful. But that gets to the downside. Like the editing was good, but it's very fast paced, very frenetic, and tonally very different from what Guillermo's doing. And Guillermo's obsessed with Frankenstein. He's wanted to do Frankenstein for years and years. I don't know what Maggie's relationship is with the Frankenstein myth. I've seen a ton of interviews with her. She's very intelligent, very literary. She reads a whole lot. So, not clear where we're going with this one because it's not really a horror film and it's not really a mythical film in the usual sense. The what I'm getting from it, it is basically Bale playing some kind of Franken thing of some kind is going to take him and the bride, and they are leaving or escaping from someone or something, the government, I don't know. And of course, the bodies are going to pile up. Action adventure and some pretty radical violence is going to ensue. But keeping to the raw reaction, I'm probably going to put in the title. I don't think this is Bale at his best. Like he's not doing American Psycho or even The Dark Knight, which frankly was excessive. I mean, I like Bale, but the thing with the voice still is so ridiculous. Like, hey, Shady, so you're alive, Joker! You're alive, Joker! What did you do? And no disrespect, he even almost lost his voice because he was just so persistent. But I'm like, bro, why do you sound like that? It was just weird. So it's not him being full psychopathic method actor, but it's the usual very intense brooding Bale, which we all love. But to what end? Is he looking for love, sex? He's just gone crazy. What is the bride's agenda? I mean, it's flipping back and forth between being very disjointed narrative. So I'm guessing we're going to get into the internal psychology of these characters, and kind of straightforward, very obvious popcorn film where these lovers or outsiders are going to be escaping the sinister conspiracy. By who? I don't know. Probably evil white men. I don't know. So it does look a little trashy, but not in a bad way, like a very pulpy 1920s, 1930s novel. So, not at all parallel to what Guillermo's doing. That one, it seems to be very clearly trying to be a full on gothic adventure, really deep exploration of the mythology of Frankenstein. This one doesn't really have much of any real gothic touch, except very superficial, right? It's just like, I mean, I think I saw a mansion at one point, but a lot of the tropes of the Gothic, like things you see with like Django or even Crimson Peak or things like that, that does not appear here. So this seems like just a collage of different styles, and that's where I'm worried, right? Because she is a new director. That's fine. Everyone has to begin somewhere. She spent a lot of time on film, right, before the camera. But I'm worried about that too, right? Because when actors later in life, quote unquote, decide to become a director, it's been a mixed bag. Like Jodie Foster decided to become a director decades ago. I've tried to give her films a chance. They just seem very mid. So it's just a rough business with directors. Either you're very lucky, like Fincher or PTA, or even Guillermo. You just start off early, granted, small, but you get in early and you develop a few good films and then get better and better and better. There are rare cases like Ong Lee. It took him forever to start his first film, so he's an inspiration for me because I'm trying to also direct. So sometimes you have to wait 10 or 20 years, but then again, your first couple films are impressive. This one still feels like she's kind of finding her style because it doesn't really have a real identity. It is just flashy nonsense. Now, flashy nonsense can still be good and very interesting, right? Quentin Tarantino is very flashy. But I kind of depart from the consensus that really think that Pulp Fiction and Reservoir Dogs are great films. I don't think they are. I think they're solid films, but they definitely are. Quentin loving his own style and loving himself. Now he did calm down for Jackie Brown, one of the best films I've ever seen in theaters, but still, those early films are a little bit, you know, much and very pretentious. This does seem to have the danger of that. That said, I can't deny Pulp Fiction and or Reservoir Dogs are fun films. So this could just be very empty style, but a fun film with Frankenstein makeup. Or this is a teaser. It is just showing the flashy stuff, right? Bonnie and Clyde, Jay-Z, Beyonce, but there's something deeper going on. But that said, I did not detect that in the teaser. It didn't seem to have any real allusion to the deeper mythos, right? It doesn't seem to be really based on the book or even the larger mythology. So it's just going to be, Bale and female archetype here traipsing around and committing atrocities, and everyone's going to panic and go crazy. And there we go. So, yeah, it did what it's supposed to do. The teaser was very exciting and very interesting. So I'm going to give the teaser 7.5. I'm intrigued enough to continue watching. And I know there's going to be inevitable comparisons. I will have to be honest and guesstimate Guillermo's film will probably be a lot better. I mean, he's the master craftsman at this point. It's going to be hard for him not to, make a great film. However, this could be a really interesting companion piece. But it is doing something very different. It does seem to be set in the modern day, whereas Guillermo seems to be setting it in some kind of murky gothic past. So, two very different directions with the Frankenstein story. Which will be better? I think Guillermo will be a better story. This one doesn't look like complete trash, but it definitely does have a very trashy sensibility. So, how much of this is intentional, or, you know, she's beginning as a director and she's just trying to jam pack everything into this first film, which a lot of directors do when they finally can direct. They're like, I'm going to give you everything. And sometimes, to quote Ludwig van der Rohe, sometimes less is more. Sometimes less is more. But for what it is, it's fine. But I hope she calms down a little bit in a few scenes because the editing is really fast. It's a really fast film, it seems, at this point.